Thank you for the introduction. So I'll just give a very brief overview of CECAF, and after discussion with Patrizio, we agreed that I would also speak about the historic trends in the fish stocks. I just want to start by saying that, well, first of all, thank you for the invitation, and also this is extremely exciting for me because it seems like the blue economy is like the big brother, the elder brother, or more mature brother than of the ecosystem approaches that we have been working on quite a lot in the past years in FAO. So I find it really timely to participate in this kind of discussions. So for those who do not know, CECAF, it has the purpose to promote the sustainable utilization of the living marine resources in its area of competence that goes from Cape Spartel all the way down to the Congo River. It has currently 34 members countries, so both from the region, those are coastal countries, but also non-coastal countries that have a fishing interest in the region. So very important to say that CECAF has an advisory role. It's meaning that any decision that is taken under the framework of CECAF is not legally binding for the countries. This is an extremely important aspect that we might come up later in the discussion, but I want to highlight it quite strongly. So these members, so the representatives of all these countries, sit in a committee that meets periodically, in theory every 2 years, but recently we had to reconsider a bit the timing of all these meetings, as you all know. And this committee is informed by a scientific subcommittee that provides all the scientific knowledge and background and information that is on its turn fed by working groups. So we currently have 5 working groups, 2 on small pelagic species, 2 on demersal species. So these ones cover the northern part and the southern part of CECAF respectively, and 1 on artisanal fisheries. So the CECAF has a secretariat that is run by FAO, and it relies on supporting projects to provide data, funding, support the organization of the working groups. I mean, all sorts of activities that I don't have time to detail here. But basically, EF Nansen program that I think many of you have heard of, the CCLME, PESCAO project. It's a bit of an opportunistic, let's say, interaction with the project that can support our work. So CECAF represents more than half of the total African production in terms of capture fisheries. These are the numbers of 2020. So based on the data that we have from the countries, like catch, effort, information on fleet, evolution on the fisheries, any new elements that we have on fishing activities, also based on national surveys that the countries carry out, regional surveys as the ones done by the Fridtjof Nansen, the Norwegian funded vessel, special studies that can be carried out, and information through projects that I have just mentioned. So the working groups conduct a stock assessment and analyze the state of the stocks. These results go to a scientific subcommittee that reviews the results and formulates some management advice for the stocks. And this goes to the members that sit in the committee that I have mentioned earlier, so that they implement or apply this management advice that is provided by the scientific subcommittee. So in terms of state of stocks, this is where it becomes interesting and also challenging. So we'll start with the demersal south. So this one, so it's I just divided by demersal south and north, and small pelagic south and north. So the worst situation in terms of data quality and availability is for the demersal south. So here, this bars, so in yellow, are this number of stocks for which we do not have an assessment. So this means that either we do not have enough data to carry out the assessment, or we do carry out an assessment, but the results are not reliable because the model did not fit, or we cannot draw any conclusion. So you can see, for example, in the demersal south, it is like the predominant category in terms of the status of stocks, and this is a big issue. Then all the way at the other extreme, we have the small pelagic north, where you can see that the yellow bars here, where no assessment, has progressively disappeared through time. But what is a real source of concern is the proportion of the overexploited stocks, which are I colored in red here to draw the attention of the audience. And where you can see that, for example, for the small pelagic north, this proportion is fluctuating, but it represents a very high proportion of the assessments. So in 2022, we have half of the stocks that are overexploited, and the other half, which is fully or not fully exploited, which is considered biologically sustainably exploited from a biological point of view. And then intermediate situation are the other two, where you can see demersal north, where the last working group has stated that there is the predominance of overexploited stocks. Well, it's actually half and half, we can say, more or less, but it's still a very high proportion of overexploitation, which is the source of concern. And for the small pelagic south, the working group is going to meet next month, so we do not have updated data yet. So in terms of current challenges, what I would like to highlight here is that there is a large sub-regional difference in data quality and availability, which can be, is reflected quite well in the results that I have shown. There is a need for comprehensive and accurate data on catch and effort and biology, like life cycle of the species, length frequencies, and so on. There are very few national research surveys. So we know Morocco, Mauritania, Senegal, Ghana, and other few member countries have national surveys, but with challenges. So for example, I think Morocco carries out surveys quite regularly, but other countries have issues with their research vessels. So some years they cannot operate. So currently we rely a lot on the biological information that is provided by the Fridtjof Nansen, Atlant Nero from the Russian Federation, even though in this current context, I don't know if they are still carrying out the surveys, and EAO Spain, which is a big provider of biological data. So in terms of management, there is a general perception that there is a poor uptake of CECAF management advice in national policies and plans, and we are carrying out a study to analyze this in detail and understand what kind of advice has been picked up and why, and which ones have not, and the reasons for that. So I think the study will be released in the coming months, and I think it will be a very interesting one to have. And also the management advice is also impacted by the poor quality of data available in the region. And then to add to this, this was my last slide, but to add to this, I think that in this context of blue economy, and again, thank you for having me here, I would really like to raise mainly two questions. One is share the experience that we have had in the ecosystem approach to fisheries, where the idea is to bring together different stakeholders to develop a management plan for specific fisheries, and it is usually done under the leadership of the ministry that is in charge of fisheries. In the case of blue economy and marine spatial planning, I think there is a big question mark, and something that is important to solve in terms of the leadership, because I think that if you have a clear leader that is identified, I think it increases your chances of success tremendously. And then the other question, which I think is really important, is the unbalance in power, and in terms of economic weight of the sectors, and in terms of decision making, because I have had experiences, for example, in the Caribbean, where you have no power whatsoever when you work on fisheries and you face, for example, the oil and gas industry. I mean, there is no comparison whatsoever. So this is also something that I think should be discussed, because if we want to go for like a blue economy, successfully implemented, I think these two questions we need to have a clear answer. Thank you very much.